Well, we're still in the month of March and we're still celebrating women. Now, we have a great woman in Nigeria, an individual whom, just by the name, you would agree with me that she is an achiever. That's the founder of the Chair Center Group, Mrs. Ibukun Awosika, joins us in this celebration of women. Ms. Awosika, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Great. So, I mean, it's still the month, so we're still celebrating. Even I learned you are in Dubai, and it's all in the bid to celebrate this International Women's Month. But what does this celebration mean for you? And over the years, what would you say are some of the benefits or the gains of celebrating International Women's Day?
Well, I don't know if it's a celebration or calling attention to the issue of maximizing the talents and the gifts and the abilities that women bring and add to our nations. And so it's, to me, I consider that March makes us focus on the issues. Is there a lot to celebrate yet? In some ways, but because we're still so far away from where we need to be, there's still so many issues on the burner that need to be resolved in order to maximize the giftings that women have. I mean, women are 50% of the population of the world. And in our country, they're literally 50% as well. No right-thinking business person undermines 50% of their asset. It doesn't make any business judgment to do that. So no nation should. If we want to talk about our latent assets in our country, it will be our women and it will be our young people. And the way we invest in unleashing the gifts, the talents, and the abilities of that sector of our population will reflect directly on our national growth numbers.
So recently you called for a mind shift. What would it look like, this mind shift you're talking about?
I think there are two shifts we need. First, there's the shift in the minds of the women ourselves, having the understanding that whatever we put our minds to do, that we prepare our hands for, that we can't do it, and we must be ready to take the challenges and take the opportunities that come to us and show the value that women bring. We also need the mind shift in the minds of those in whose hands power resides right now. We all agree that no matter what part of the world you're in right now, power still remains in the hands of men.
All right. All right, ma'am. All right, Ms. Awosika, just a minute for our DSTV viewers. There's a media parley by the FCT Minister, Mr. Wike, over there. So we'll have to lead you there. That's for our DSTV viewers. But of course, on our other platforms, as well as on YouTube, we're still here on Business Morning. So sorry to butt in, Ms. Awosika. Please do go ahead.
Okay. So we do need a mind shift with those where power resides. We need to have a shift in terms of how we understand, manage the asset and the talent that women represent. How we understand that equity, justice, and fairness is required in terms of dealing with 50% of our population. How we understand that the population of the future the largest world population of the future resides in Africa because we have the largest youthful population. And Nigeria being the most populous nation amongst African nations, it shows that the way we prepare both our male and our female assets, it will directly impact our ability as a country to achieve the goals that we set for ourselves for the future. Yeah. We've had a male-dominated leadership for decades of our existence. Well, we are where we are. And no one continues to do the same thing and expect a different result. So there's a point at which that there's some things you need to tweak, there's some things you need to change. And when you think in terms of the participation of women, even in the politics of the country, in terms of as voters, because we're 50% of the population and women tend to vote even more, then there must be some level of equity in terms of the general design of leadership for the country, whether in the economic sector, in political sector, and in the social space, across all the different spheres of our economy.
So, listening to, I mean, as expected, a lot of meetings and talks this period. And one thing that also comes out of conversations is the issue of managing our passion, our emotions. I mean, we are emotional, but some people have said that sometimes it does seem like that emotion has become a hurdle. So we're not able to take objective or think objectively to go through, especially when you come to decision making in businesses and finance. How true is this from your perspective?
You know, if you permit any narrative and you buy into it, then it will become the truth of the time and the season. There's nothing wrong with women and their emotions. And part of our learnings is how to manage who we are the best way to deliver on what we need to deliver. We are who we are. Women are wired in a certain way for value. Men are wired in a certain way for value. There are many limitations or opportunities in how the men and the women are wired. But what is key is that we need the collaborative work of men and women together in order for our nation or for the world to be in the right place. Because there's a reason why we have different strengths, but our strengths working together will result in what we need. So, yeah, we're emotional. So what? It's about our learnings and how we learn to manage our emotions for good. There's nothing wrong with being emotional, but how do we manage our emotions for good? That's part of what all our leadership programs and events and conferences they're about, is about playing to the strengths, harnessing the strengths of women and fine-tuning other parts of who we are in order to make us the best leaders that we can be for the opportunities of the places where we sit.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said, we're having leadership conferences and meeting. You're in Dubai for one of that. Because I have to tell you personally, we run this show every day of the week. And whenever you try to get a woman on the show, it's really, really hard, even when you give a long-term notice. So it begs the question, are women themselves ready for the exposure, for the responsibility? Because if we're talking about gender equality, we want to be empowered, we want financing, it's also a responsibility that we have to be ready to bear. So are we ready, actually?
You know why I'm smiling? Because, we're still talking about some of the same things that when I'm a co-founder of Wimbase, and when my colleagues and I started Wimbase 23 years ago, these were some of the issues that we were asked. And we know how far Wimbase has come, how many women have been empowered, developed, and energized through Wimbase and many other platforms. And when I think, are we ready for what? To face look, when you invite women, if you invite them objectively, you invite them competitively, if you invite them in their areas of strength and specialization, if they come and you speak to them about those things and not some, general belief questions, because there's some standard questions that women get asked that is almost off-putting or demeaning sometimes. A lot of women are capable, they're competent, they're able, they're more than qualified to deal with all of the issues that we're talking about. And a lot of women sit in powerful places who do a fantastic job of the work that they do. Now, the question is, media itself needs to reorganize itself for a more equitable coverage of women who are in those places. It's one of the things that's been used as a weapon against women is the media, whether it's soft media or it's major media, because there is a lot of economic misuse of media, and women don't know how to play some of those dirty games. And the ones who do, try to misuse it. Now, if there's justice and fairness and equity, in the coverage of women in positions, in authority, and in the places where they sit to get the facts and the truth and tell their stories as they should. If you ask them questions that make sense, I think you would have a lot more women willing to share and to contribute to the national discourse in order to add value. Because do they know what to say? Yes, they do. Are they smart? They're absolutely brilliant and up to the task. And they do perform on the job.
I guess I'll have to look the way of Wimbies more, Mr. Awosika. Perhaps that's what I've been missing, you know. So I'll look that way more to get more women on our show, because I mean, for me as a woman, it will always be a pleasure to get women here on the program. And but share with us, it's everyone agrees you are successful. You're successful as a wife, as a mother, even in your religious area, you are successful. And then, of course, in the business scene, what would you say would be your secret that people can learn from to get to the heights in their different sectors and spheres?
Okay, I don't know about secrets. I just know that I'm grateful to my parents for the values with which I was raised. I'm thankful for the institutions that nurtured me. I went to Methodist Girls High School, then I went to Ife. You know, I'm grateful for the opportunities that I've been able to take and the many ways that I've been supported in doing that. I have learned how to stay focused on what I consider important to me and to apply myself in the best way to that. I have learned that human beings are one of the biggest assets in fact, human beings represent the biggest asset on the face of the earth. And learning how to handle, relate, and deal with human beings, both up and down, makes a major difference to what you will do in life. I've also learned, you know, above all, that my faith in God is my anchor, and that with God all things are possible. And you know, as a Christian, the Bible says if you can believe, all things are possible. And I dare to believe God for many things, many times, you know, and I'm willing to step forward and start small, but build big on the long term. And valuing the fact that no man is an island. If you work collaboratively with people and you appreciate those who bring their talent to the table to support your talent, then you're able to achieve a lot more. And that whatever you do, you know, if it's not impacting or changing the lives of others, then it's about you. But the giftings of God are usually for other people. You know, I was watching something yesterday and someone said, if you look at the apple tree, the fruit that grows on it is not for the tree, it's for somebody else to pluck and eat. And every fruit tree that you see, that's not for them, it's for somebody else. So our gifts and our talents, you know, are to bless and to create value in many ways for our community and the world. And we in turn benefit because of the value that we create. And I'm grateful also for a good support system at home, you know, marrying a good husband who has allowed me or created an environment that has given me the liberty of expression, you know. So all of those factors working together, none of which we totally, well, all of which we don't totally control. Some we have choices because you choose who you marry. We also make choices in life every day as we walk through our career. So we need to ensure that you also have the right kind of people around you. What's your circle of influence? You know, who are your friends, the ones that can speak to you on your trying day? You know, how have you chosen them? How do you appoint those that you call your council, your accountability group, the ones that you're accountable to for the things you do, the ones that can call you to order when you do things. So when you set up a system around yourself, you know, you allow God as the ruler of your life. If we're fortunate to have a good home system based on our choice of spouse and all that, and we're able to build a support system of friends and relationships, that help us to keep standing when we should. I think somewhere along the line, the universe, through the grace of God, makes a way for us to do the things we've been called to do.
Yeah, a whole lot put together there. But just before we let you go, we know you're really busy. You're there for the Influential Women Leadership Conference. Could you tell us who are those there? What are you? What can we expect, or what's going on there? Since we are not there, at least let's have a little bit of idea of what you're doing there in Dubai.
Okay, the International Women Leadership Conference, I started in 2022. We had our first conference in partnership with Dubai Economy and Tourism in year 2022. So this is the fourth edition of it. It's women from around the world, largely of African descent. And we have women come from as far as Australia to the Caribbeans, the Americas, Europe, and of course, multiple African countries, and Nigerians being a large block, as I'm a Nigerian. They're largely women sitting in leadership and aspiring to leadership. Over the course of a 3-day period, we share ideas, we have speakers and panels across different topic areas. Our theme for this year is Women in Leadership, Living the Dream. So it's about us being able to pursue our dreams. What are the things that can make it difficult? How do we deal with them? Sharing learnings, connecting with one another, understanding that women do have power, but a lot of power that women have is isolated power. And what we do with the conference is to connect the power that women have in order to create superpower that can support every woman that wants to get somewhere. We talk about building tribes and building the support network. We talk about multi-generational learnings, understanding that the older people have a lot to teach the younger ones, and the younger people have a lot that they can teach the older ones. And if we really want to win as women, we must understand we all bring value to the table, and we must learn to glean from the value that each group represents. And of course, we have a lot of fun, even as we have our shared learning, and we have speakers from far and wide across the world who are part of our panels and our keynotes and all that. So yes, we've been doing this for 4 years now, looking forward to the 5th one in 2026. But I'm grateful to God for the successes we've had, and it's been an extremely, there's been a lot of testimonials, and I'm just glad.
Yeah, I'm glad with you too. Thank you so much. And congratulations for doing this 4 years, the success of it. And we wish you the very, very best, even as you continue to make impacts in the life of, well, not just women, but I guess families around the world. Because when you touch the life of one woman, you're touching her family in extension.
We actually have men come to the conference as well. Even though it's a women's conference, but we've had men register for the conference. So
you see?
It's fun. About 600 women gathering from 19th to 21st. So, yeah.
All right. Well done, ma'am. Founder of the Chair Center Group, Mrs. Ibukun Awosika. Thank you so much for joining us, and wish you all the best in your conference.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. Bye.
Bye. All right. So, well, give us this month to celebrate ourselves and find out some of those things perhaps that we can do better to be more impactful to you, the economy, and the family. Let's take a break now on Business Morning. When we come back, the maritime sector will be our focus. To stay with us.